Hey folks, Kilt-Man here. Kilt-Man at your service. Yes, the wolf-headed cane of Larry Talbot. Poor, tormented, tragic, terrifying Larry Talbot. Well, he's okay as Larry Talbot, but when he changes, oh boy, things get hairy and nasty. So folks, how are you all? I hope you're doing very well. At present, it is early doors on Saturday morning, and although the sun is now trying to appear, I always give a little Kilt-Man weather resume, mainly because, as most of you will know, the weather really has an impact upon Kilt Mansion, and that in turn has an effect upon the videos. And yes, I'm in the conservatory, so anything could happen in the next half hour. But no, we've had heat wave, then yesterday rain, but the heat was still like, woo, inferno. And this morning I got up at, I was up at 5 o'clock this morning. Shock horror. Did I actually go to bed? Well, that's a subject for conjecture. Weren't any witnesses around, my midnight prowlings. Was it a full moon last night? I can't quite remember. But yeah, it was an inferno, but it rained and we was due for thunderstorms, and I thought, oh shit, here we go again. Roof, bye bye. But no, it didn't happen. It was actually still very warm, but storm wasn't that bad. And this morning it was really sort of tempestuous, dark and glowering, and the wind picked up, and I thought, wow, this would be a great moment to capture some Wolfman stuff. Of course, now I've started filming, the fucking sun's coming up. Again, as I always seem to say, timing is everything, and yet I possess none of it. But anyway, I've been showing you some toys lately, some stuff that I've unearthed. You know, there's so many artifacts and relics dotted about Kilt Mansion, and treasures and stuff like it, collectibles. And somebody has mentioned, what was that about? What's that? Well, I'll tell you what that is. It's a box. It is a box, but not just any old box. Oi! The cast list from the Wolfman is in there. There's a rather evocative image there, but something should be in there, do you not think? Boxes contain things, do they not? On the back of it, there he is, Lon Chaney, the main man. Wolfman. This was Sideshow Toys, folks. This now is, well, many years old for me, and I think you can still get it, but it's very expensive now, put it that way. And if you saw my video about the figures from 300, and Mrs. Kilt-Man found those figures for me, which I've been searching for, and she found them. It's actually Mrs. Kilt-Man to thank for this as well, because she was on a trip to London, and many full moons ago, and she phoned me and said, I've just found this Wolfman figure. Now, I already had a Wolfman figure, this one here, by Sideshow Toys as well, and that's a really good figure. There's a little plinth. I've got a few of these, and that's a really good figure. I like that figure a lot. And she said, there's a Wolfman figure here, but you might already have it. And I thought, oh, can you describe it to me? She said, it looks like Wolfman. Helpful. So what size is it? She said, oh, it's big, but not that big. What? What's the brand? Oh, it just says Wolfman. How much is it? It's X amount. I said, get it! Just get it. What the hell? If I've already got it, so what? You know, you can't have too many Wolfmen, can you? So she did, and she bought it, and she brought it back. She was down there with her mates, you know, having a big piss up and all that, like. But so I took advantage of the fact that she was like in such jovial moods. Yeah, buy it, whatever. Just sort it out, and it was this, and I was made up. And although quite clearly it's going to be a Wolfman figure, Lon Chaney as Wolfman, and it's that, just a little bit bigger. And here he is, folks. Now this is one of the, A lot of collectors seem to really favour these ones where they're bigger and they're wearing, you know, actual cloth material clothing. And yeah, I can see the appeal without a doubt, because it does look good. It adds a bit of, you know, authenticity to it. Does it? But what I tend to find is that they're not in the same sort of scale to the body that is wearing it. So I've got a lot of figures with these. Wow, it's got real cloth clothing on, and it's like outsized and stupid, and it doesn't feel right. However, Sideshow Toys with this one, the material is lovely, and it does look right. It does look good. You know, the belt does actually fasten, and the buttons do actually. Well, they're not buttons, but you do pop them, so you can open it. But it's really good. You know, I don't mind that at all. The sculpt on his paws is magnificent. Look at him. Oh, yeah. The sculpt on his paws down here is awesome. And that fantastic dog leg that they made for Lon Chaney to give him that kind of wolfish, lupine sort of, you know, dog leg, literally. Brilliant, isn't it? Obviously, when they remade it, they gave him those blades that, you know, runners have that don't have any legs. Those super bendy blade things, and but super strong, made out of whatever they made Captain America's shield out of. The only thing well, I was going to say, the only thing I'm not too sure about is the way that, you know, underneath there you just have like basically brown plastic, and it lacks the sculpting of the fur. But you know, are they really going to do all that? It just means that if you take that top off, it doesn't look right. Fairy head, fairy claws, a nice smooth but brown body. So, but obviously you don't see him without that on. By the way, what you can hear there, I often play the Wolfman soundtrack by Hans J. Salter and Frank Skinner, but this is not. This is the soundtrack to Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, which is pretty much exactly the same as the original Wolfman, by the same composers, but it adds a few little extra bits in it, and it's lovely. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, directed by Roy William Neill, and I love it. It's definitely a more Wolfman movie than it is a Frankenstein's monster movie, but it's Bela Lugosi playing the monster, and I've discussed this before. Bela Lugosi walks around like that because he's blind. In the original script, he's actually blind, plus he can speak. And after watching his performance and hearing how he delivered his lines, and a test screening went disastrously. Everyone fell about laughing, hearing Bela Lugosi trying to deliver these lines. That he went, no, like, cut all dialogue out from the monster, cut it all out. So you're left with this mute, idiot monster that's shambling around like that, and because you don't know he's blind in that finished version, it makes it even more ridiculous. And yet the film is an absolute perennial favourite. All Universal monster movie buffs cherish Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. I have my own version going there, and it definitely remains one of my all-time favourites as well. I mean, he's nastier in it, and it's more of his story as well. And the fact that Bela Lugosi affects that sort of movement, you go anywhere in the world and you say, oh, to some kid in some, you know, obscure tribe somewhere in deepest South America or deepest Congo, say Frankenstein's monster, and they go, Boris Karloff never did that. So how is it that Bela Lugosi's version became so well known and so associated, his mannerism, with the monster? A legacy was born right there. But yeah, now with this figure, well, with that figure, you got the man trap, you got the stand, the man trap, and you got a small version of that. Those of you who saw my unboxing of that stick, the cane, a couple of weeks ago, will know that I turned the house upside down trying to find the little plastic replica, but I still can't find it. Damn it, it's here. in the vortex that is Kilt Mansion. And the little man trap as well, which he inadvertently puts his stupid paw into and rides around on the deck until the wonderful Maria Uspanskaya as the gypsy woman. That's a great name, Nick. Maria Uspanskaya, and her face. And she's not as old as you think when you see the film. She's not as old, and she's in Wolfman and Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and she's tremendous. And she finds him and frees him. But I can't find the man trap for that or the little wolf-headed cane. However, this guy in this version came with a man trap, and look at it. Look at this. That is phenomenal. You've got the chain to anchor it down. You've got this huge leather clasp which obviously anchored it down as well. You've got the pressure plate, and you know you can capture him. Capture your own Wolfie. And he rides around. And it's wonderful. And yet they didn't put the wolf-headed cane with that one. Oh, that seems a bit unusual. Unless there was one and I've lost that as well. But he did come with a stand. Now you see the stand for this one here. Okay, it's kind of simplistic, but it is just to really show this off. And I've got the Well for London as well with Henry Hull with the beautiful plaque as well. And you got a tree stump, well, a log there, some pebbles and a bit of grass for him to traipse around on. His one was that again, but without the plinth saying what it was. And it was just like a diorama, naturalistic, environmental base with a huge big tree log which he puts a paw on. Can I find it? No. But I do still have it. I know I do. But I've got something which could be even better. Look at this one. There's a good one, isn't it? Yes, there's 2 pins there, but the pins are too big for the holes in his paws. So, but you could still balance him on it, you know. But look at that, you know. Let's get him in a pose of sorts. Okay, that one will do. But look, that's quite good, isn't it? And look at the detail on that base. That base, by the way, is from something to do with Lord of the Rings. It may even be Shelob the spider, because I've got everything that Lord of the Rings ever put out, all the figures you can imagine, including all the limited ones. Yes, they're all there. And a lot of the big deluxe ones came with fantastic elaborate stands, but that works perfectly well for, you know, Mr. Wolfman. In fact, it's probably better than the one that he came with originally. Speaking of stands, there was another one here which I found, that is definitely Lord of the Rings. That one. I mean, it's too small for him. You can just rest a paw on it, maybe, you know, in a mid prowl, get his breath back. Oh, it goes like that, doesn't it? Like that. So yeah, a good starting point to leap off onto unsuspecting prey. And if you remember, me and my mate Lee Van Keith used to have a business called Scene in 3D. Scene spelled as in movie scene, but it was a play on words. It was you could reenact a scene from a movie in 3D because we manufactured stands, little plastic stands. We had an injection molding press. We had an outlet on an industrial park. And we pumped out gazillions of these little plastic bastards, mainly for Star Wars figures, but we did branch out into other sizes too, and we did them in all sorts of colours and different styles, and we got told to stop, but by a certain Mr. Lucas. Don't know whatever happened to him, Mr. George Lucas. I think he went bankrupt at some point as well. But we did a lot of different stands. Now, for figures of that size, we did stands which were like, well, kind of like that, really. You get like a wooden base or even a big perspex base, big plastic base, wrap it up in like the sort of moss and bits of twig, stick them down. So these would be tailor-made, designer-made. And I had lots of like hordes of Orakai figures in sort of that size. It should be what, 8-inch figure. He's a 12-inch figure, that one. And I would have those storming over these like forested, terrain bases. Look great. People would always think, oh, can I have one of them? But because they were kind of designer made, you kind of, what price on that? And you go, well, what kind of stuff do you want on it? And what kind of size do you want? What figures is it for? Oh, I've got like a squadron of wargaming orcs. Oh, right. So they're about, what, yay big? And you want that. Oh, it just became a fucking nightmare. Neither me nor Levi and Keith had proper business heads on us. We were dealing in the things that we love, so any profits we made, because we'd traverse the country going to memorabilia fairs and comic cons and fucking whatever, anything that would have us. But of course, wherever we were, every other store was selling things that we were into. So any profits we made, straight away they were getting spent. Oh, and we were coming home with bags of stuff like, oh, look at this. Oh, let's check our profits. Well, fucking aren't any. Shit. So what was doomed to failure. But we did sort of like these sort of elite ones as well, which were carved wooden bases, and you could do them in gold, bronze, silver, grey like this one, or whatever colour you want, but give it like an antique sort of finish. And we'd have our figures. You could put your figure on that. We had this lovely stand, which was like a multi-tiered glass stand with the old sort of 20th Century Fox style lights revolving around it, illuminating all the figures. And we'd have like just standard figures, that you could buy. We hadn't made them. People would come up and they'd go like, oh, can I have that figure of Iron Man there on that? And we go like, well, that's just, how much do you want for that? I'll give you 50 quid for that. You go, well, hang on a minute, the figures only go to that stall there, you can get that exact same figure for like a tenner, and you can buy the stand off us for like 20 quid. So so we're cutting our own throats again, but it just, people thought we created these statues, and it was just a mass-produced figure stuck on a stand. But it shows you how good these stands can actually make a figure look. So for collectors out there, sadly Seen in 3D no longer exists. But these are just a few ideas for you. And that thing about making just for yourself, just go out, go in your garden, go out into the park, go into the woods, go wherever, go to seaside, pick up some stones, bit of driftwood, and you could create a fantastically, ornate and unique base to put your figures on. I mean, okay, I didn't make that one, but what we were coming up with, we're using real twigs and sticks and things, and a bit of moss and whatever, but it'd be the moss that you get from model makers stuff. Wouldn't be real, not that, because that would just fucking degrade anyway. But twigs and sticks and stones don't, So you could easily concoct something like that, and for a guy like him, that's absolutely ideal, is it not? Look at it, But yeah, back to Wolfman. That is the regulation uniform that Larry Talbot would wear when out wolfing. And I've said it before, and it always stuns me how this happens. When he first turns into the Wolfman, he's wearing a different shirt and he's got a vest underneath. He begins to turn into the Wolfman, and next thing you see him prowling on the moor. He's took his shoes off and all that, like, to see his feet transform. And then, but he's still got his vest on. So he turns into a werewolf and puts a different shirt on. What gives? And in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, he's dead. He's been dead for years. But two grave robbers under the foolish light of the full moon go into his mausoleum, his crypt, because they think he's been buried with his money. And they crack open the crypt. And of course, they remove all the wolf bane, which is covering him to stop him transforming. The light of the full moon hits, and he wakes up hungry. Puts the bite on one of them, terrifies the other one, who scarpers. And then he's found, next thing you know, he's in Cardiff, prowling around the streets of Cardiff, dressed as that. They didn't bury him. They didn't bury him in that. He's in a fucking suit, so he's obviously got changed again. It's just bizarre. And then he collapses on the streets of Cardiff, and they drag him to a hospital, and he wakes up as this mystery man in hospital, in Cardiff General Hospital. So he's in like, hospital, pajamas. But then when the full moon hits him and he escapes, he's dressed like that again. How does he do it? Is he like Superman? Wherever he goes, no matter what he's doing, he just whoosh, and he's got his old 1930s work shirt on. How does it happen? It's just one of those things, but it's iconic though. I always love in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, on his second night of prowling in Cardiff, when he's broken out of the hospital. You've got this copper, this Bobby on the beat, who's doing his nightly check on the streets, and he just stops and he watches as this across the street comes at him anyway and runs round, leaps onto a couple of bales of straw or whatever, Hessian sacks, and just goes, and then jumps off again and runs around a corner, and this cop is just stood there going, fucking hell's that? Because you got to think back to like 1942 or 3 when that one came out. Audiences who were already terrified by the Wolfman, I could be like, but really, if you think about it, the cop has just stood there going, "The fucking hell's that?" He does get killed by the wolf. He does erroneously follow it down a darkened alley, and as he's looking around, the wolf just springs out on him. But it's just, what the hell? It must look ridiculous. Instead of terrifying, it would actually be farcical to see that. And I love this character bouncing around. Ooh, sniff, 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 sniff. Ooh, and then jump off and disappear down a side street. I don't know, folks. There you go. And I like the fact that the little belt, the little leather belt on this, you can thread it through as well. And there are the pockets on these pants? No, there aren't. So, but anyway. Oh, if you listen now, you will hear the folk gypsy Transylvanian street square dance ceremony called the Festival for the New Wine, which in the film Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman is a huge big song and dance number through the streets, of the Universal backlot. And I love the movie, but every time this comes on, I just go, oh God. Fast forward. It goes on and they're singing this big fucking dance, the Burgermeister and all that, like, and it's just, oh shit. But luckily it gets disrupted by Bela Lugosi as the monster, striding down the cobbled streets just to go and fuck it all up for everybody. Cue a big escape sequence where Larry Talbot gets the monster to get on this beer wagon with all the beer barrels on the back of it, like, and they explode out of town like a Wild West fucking chase sequence, and the monster's pushing off all these barrels, which is great. But it's just this fucking dance scene beforehand. You're like, that. Oh, I'm watching a horror movie. Can you fuck off with this fucking, Andrew Lloyd Webber shite? Oh, I can actually reenact the barrels being pushed off here, thinking about it. Boing, and it chips up all the villages. Also, in the Wolfman, the original, even though it's kind of a fairy tale sort of world that they're in, it's Wales again, like, and Larry Talbot has returned from America to his long estranged father, played by Claude Rains, who's about that big, and Lon Chaney's about 18 feet tall and wide. But they've got cars, they've got automobiles. They talk about, telescopes in California and great optical, technological advancements. So it's set in the modern day, as it would be 1941, but it tells a fairy tale story in like a mist enshrouded, time locked little town with gypsies and violins and all sorts of weird stuff. But it is set in the modern day. The weird thing about Frankenstein meets the Wolfman is that it's actually set a few years afterwards the events of the first movie, and you've got modern Cardiff hospital-ish, because these old style bobbies on the beat with their whistles, which don't really seem to fit, and then Larry escapes and goes to Europe. He tracks down Maria Uspenskaya, the gypsy woman, thinking that she might be able to help him get rid of this curse. And then they find, oh, there's a Frankenstein's castle, and there's a laboratory, and we can maybe use his experiments to try and whatever. But you end up with the Burgermeister and the old Eastern European Hamlet, and the pitchfork wielding, torch wielding peasants, rampaging across the landscape trying to hunt down monsters. So it reverts back to an even earlier time. It's all very strange, but it's all part of the mystique and the charm of these universal monster movies, which, in 100 years' time, when we're all floating around in fucking bubblegum, well, we've probably all mutated because of coronavirus 25 at that point, and, we're all in little fucking bubble ships of complete social isolation. Isolation? Should be a word. But we'll still be looking back on these vintage movies and revering them for what they did, and people will still get that same shiver, that cosy shiver of excitement, that frisson of, quaint old fear, because these films will never lose that. They will never die when it comes down to atmosphere, mood, and, the complete evocation of these classic monsters. Anyway, folks, that was a little rambling aside. There is stuff arriving in the post, which you will see. Well, I say this, I'm hoping they arrive in the post. But as you well know, every time I go, the post is fucking rubbish, bang, bang, bang on the door, and yeah, it won't do it now. Now I've said that, but there you go. Anyway, in the meantime, and indeed the in-between time, you guys, please, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. Enjoy the good weather if you have it. If you don't, enjoy the bad weather as well. Just enjoy everything. Why ever not? So, in the meantime and the in-between time, keep it kilted, keep it Celtic, and I'm going to see you all what's next? Oh, later!